Hey y'all, it's Danielle. I'm back again, and we are still talking about the work that we have to do as as the black community here in Nashville. Really excited to have Odessa Kelly from Stand Up Nashville joining me today. Odessa was out there leading us the other day while we were out, just trying to support Justin and him getting back in. But again, there's a lot more work that needs to be done. There's a lot of other things that are going on here in Nashville that can impact our community. And so I invited Odessa to join us here today. I think Tequila from the Equity Alliance is going to jump in at some point as well. But welcome, Odessa. How are you?
Hey, I'm well. Thank you for having me on here. So,
Absolutely. So I'm gonna ask you first for
uh-huh.
the folks that have been kind of out of the loop, don't really know exactly what we're fighting about right now. Can you give us a quick synopsis, a quick breakdown of what's transpired here in Tennessee over the last couple weeks?
Sure. Let's see. I think we all know what happened with the Covenant shooting that took place, unfortunately. For those who don't know, we had six individuals that lost their lives to a shooter who got inside Covenant School. And of course, the shooter also lost their lives. I've been saying seven people lost their lives, six to gun violence, and one to mental health issues, because that's something that we have underplayed as a society across this country, especially here in the South. And, I think in the Black community, we are starting to talk more and more about our mental health. Mental health is mental wealth. And so I want to make sure I included that as well. But what has happened is that given that we have this issue that happened again after everything that we came off of with Uvalde and all the other shootings that took place last year, we had a lot of students who were upset about it. And I'm a parent, Tequila's a parent, there's several other parents, here who were in the active social justice arena. And we had students who were outraged who wanted to do something about it. So what happened is that an organic, rally and protest started, and with the help of groups like the Equity Alliance, Tennessee Immigrants Rights Refugee Coalition, Awake Tennessee. Forgive me for the groups I'm forgetting, but March for Our Lives, we had a couple of students at Vanderbilt, and Students Demand Action, which is a spinoff of Moms Demand Action, who have directly been affected by gun violence or lost, children to gun violence. All of them got together and helped the students build this rally. And as you've seen every day from then, there's been a rally that's been happening. This past Monday, we had a very huge rally here, and it was held at the state capitol with all of our youth across the state. And Justin Jones and Justin Pearson, along with Gloria Johnson. What was happening is they were coming out. They could be in solidarity with the thousands of people who were there. And they were also going back inside. They were like, how are we on this like not important agenda when it's obvious what the people of Tennessee want to talk about? They kept cutting off Justin Jones' mic every time he was trying to speak. So he was coming out and was telling people what's going on. Tequila being Tequila gave him a bullhorn. They were actually in a break or a recess. They took a bullhorn in. I don't know all the specific parts. I think they cut his mic off one more time, and he came to the well. And that's like the middle area, along with Gloria Johnson and Justin Pearson. Like, if you're gonna cut my mic off, I'm gonna talk through the bullhorn, right? And so basically, what happened is that all these racist Republicans took it as an opportunity to expel or put the three of them up for expulsion, which is how we came up with Tennessee 3. Gloria Johnson, white representative, female out of Knoxville, Tennessee. You have Justin Jones, y'all know who's a local activist organizer here in Nashville, represents District 52 out in Antioch area. And you have Justin Pearson, who was appointed to a vacated seat by death in Memphis. So the two black young men, who happen to be the youngest individuals, a part of our state legislature, were expelled, and the white woman wasn't. And of course, a lot of national media came in because that's egregious. I mean, for that to happen. But as me and you know, me and you've been watching this shit. Am I allowed to? Okay, I'm gonna try not to cuss. These things, these things,
We ain't at work. we,
yeah, these things
we
have
on
been,
social media. Say what you gotta say.
well, these things have been happening, as we know, across Tennessee forever. It's actually just been the way of how we do things in Tennessee. And this Tennessee's part of the South. The South is soaked in a lot of toxic traditions that come directly out of slavery. And slavery is oppression. Oppression is a tool of, hopefully we'll get to talking about economics, so that's where we are.
I love. Thank you so much for that. And we got Tequila. Hey, Tequila.
See,
Oh, I don't want to make y'all small. There we go. All
Hey,
right,
yeah.
fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us. We just jumping into it. Odessa just gave us a breakdown of what has happened over the last couple of weeks because I don't think everybody really knew all of the details of what's been going on that's led us to where we are today. So I know that the council voted unanimously on Monday for Justin Jones to get his seat back. Any updates on Justin Pearson today?
yeah, Tequila, if you can give them an update. What I did is just caught
So
them up
Justin
on why this
Pearson,
happened.
Go ahead, Tequila. Uh-oh.
Things a little bit of a
okay, I
lag.
think I got a lag time.
Yeah.
Justin, Justin Pearson, right now there's a rally going on in Memphis, and they're marching up, I think, Main Street to get to the commission office them to vote, and then tomorrow they will come to Nashville with the hopes that, well, we know what's gonna happen. He's gonna get reappointed, and then once he's reappointed, we'll have a rally outside for Justin Pearson. So I guess one of the things, Danielle, that you could be helpful with your platform is making sure that there are Black people that know what's going on, because in Memphis obviously it's 60+% Black. Looking at the rally for Justin Pearson, there have been a lot of Black people centered, and you can hear the voices. But in Nashville, me and Odessa were the only Black people, and I'm just being real with y'all. Like, at the end of the day, democracy is a Black fight, and if you don't think that it's a Black fight, we can talk and we can get into the history of why it's a Black fight. But the Constitution essentially was written to control slavery, which is, i.e., Black people. And every amendment that has been made to the Constitution has been made around marginalized people. And I know oftentimes as Black people, we are up against so many obstacles that we're oftentimes fighting the symptoms of the system, i.e., policing, i.e., lack of economic opportunities, education. To realize is those are just symptoms of a larger system at play, and democracy is the governing entity that controls that system. Now, I know everybody fuck the system. I'm like that too. But at the end of the day, when America decided they wanted to be an independent nation, they had two options. They could either with Great Britain from the inside and try to change the system, or they could go to war and implode the system. So we got two options, Black folks. We either gonna figure out how to make democracy work for us, or we have to go to war. And most of the people yelling, we don't want to do the system, ain't prepared to go to war. Not with America.
Super facts. I love it. And so, and that's what I really wanted us to come together to talk about today. Like, what are the next steps? What are our options? How can we come together? How can we support? I think that one of my observations when I was there on Monday was that I would say 75% of the folks did not look like me. It's which I appreciate the allies and the work that they're doing in their voices, but we can't leave it up to them to take care of our community. I feel like we need to figure out what do we do as a community to come together and to continue to support. Odessa, what are your thoughts? You're on mute. Hey.
Yeah, ditto to everything that Tequila just said. As a matter of fact, slavery is the reason why we have a Senate and not just a House of Representatives. But that's a whole, you have to bring me back on. I can give you that whole breakdown. But got to start like right here, Danielle, with next steps. Tequila can hop in and give, what we need to do. I think it's not one thing. A lot of people out there didn't look like us, and a lot of that comes from the crux of where this organizing came from. Tequila, is okay if I talk about what you tweeted yesterday? She said, yeah.
I think so. I'm gonna say yeah for.
So Tequila, if you go look at Tequila's Twitter page, I'm gonna retweet it out later. And it's like a fine line because she's not hating; she's telling the truth. We got all these national orgs that have like swooped in, right? And that's not real organizing. Does it have a place? Yes, because there needed to be some urgency created around what's happening here in Tennessee. And unfortunately, the most effective way to create urgency is with deep pockets. And of course, a lot of these national orgs have deep pockets and thousands of dollars that they can put into this. But who they connected with is the issue. Had they connected with the Equity Alliance, had they connected with Turk and those of us who are on the ground, then we are connected to you in these communities and would have had more people out there. I don't want to hate on how how all of these protests start, but Vandy Students Demand Action is at Vanderbilt is white led, and so they plug into their friends and the people that they know, right? The high school kids that they know go to Hume Fogg and a couple other schools, and they call all their friends. Majority of them are white. You get what I'm saying? And so then they tell their white mamas and daddies, and it's a swell of them, right? And while you are working every day, and like that's essentially how we get left out of a lot of these organizing rallies and things that happen because their jobs have the time baked into it where they can like think about these type of things or talk about them, or it's because they already have networks together to talk about this type of stuff. And so the reason why they were super white is also too, in one of the ways that we can help, we got to make sure that our Black institutions are ready to mobilize. And what does that look like? Because I was telling a lot of those white organizations, like white college organizations, y'all need to tap in with TSU and Fisk. Like if more Black people,
Crazy.
Here are going to have stories, personal stories, unfortunately, of gun violence. It's from a different cadence. It's not from someone, but y'all already know you from Chicago, right?
The South Side. So,
and that we deal with that trauma, and we have baked that into being a part of our lives, though, and us understanding how to have conversations around that as well, and being able to mobilize people is going to have to happen that way. So, but that's why it was really white instead of it being a.
I was very disappointed, to be honest with you, because for the days leading up to Monday, I was like, hey y'all, we gonna show up, let's do this, and so I'm like, well, where are all these people that got time on social media to talk about it and can't show up? Like I don't understand it. And I think that, I'm going to try to continue to use my voice as best as I can to bring us together and to mobilize. But I really want to understand what the deeper root cause is of why we aren't showing up. What's going on?
Tequila pushback, but also I think it's how it happened. And I think it's okay for us to be very honest about that. This happened at Covenant School. It is a private Christian conservative. She about to say something? It's a private Christian conservative school. All right. And
I'm lagging.
Go ahead, Tequila.
I'm about to log in from my phone. I don't know if it's me or if it's just StreamYard, but I'm gonna log in from my phone so we can, because I feel like this is an important conversation.
It is. We'll wait for you. Go ahead, Odessa.
We knock on some wood. Had this happened at Maplewood, at Stratford, you get what I'm saying? There is more of a correlation between our communities. If this happened at Cane Ridge, Antioch, where there's a bunch of Black and brown people living, you understand what I'm saying? Glencliff, we out and we riding because we correlate with that. Most people that I was talking to was like, I thought Covenant was a church. I'm like, it is, but it's also got a school. You know what I'm saying?
But the thing is, it doesn't matter where it happened. That's not what we're fighting about, right? I mean, there's a deeper issue here.
But like us Black people being absent in understanding that is also part of systemic racism. For years, it's been like, this is y'all bucket, right? And because things have been in our bucket, we often make correlation in urgency about issues around race as well. And if it doesn't correlate to something that we are familiar with, then we think that's not our issue.
Now, okay, and I'm like, I feel you, and I absolutely agree. And I think when it became personal, and should have become personal to us, is when the two black men were expelled and the white woman was not. And I think that was so blatant that, you know, at that point, if you didn't care about what happened at Covenant, or you cared, but you felt like it wasn't your fight, that's when it became blatant racism, and it should have sparked something in all of us to want to show up in some way for these two black men, if nothing else. So that, for me, I was like, yeah, you know, I was kind of watching, and I think a lot of us were kind of seeing that they protested, and you know, but I think when I was like, they did what now? They didn't expel these people? Okay, no, it's time. Like, now we can't ignore that. We got to figure out how do we fight back at this point. And so even if it take you a little longer to catch up, like it took some of us, you should have been caught up by Monday, you know. So Tequila, I'm glad you were able to get in. I think the lag is that's much better.
Okay.
Feel free to chime in and tell us what's going on, what you think next steps should be, what's going on with our people. Why weren't we there on Monday? Whatever you got for us.
So I'm one of those people, I do not claim to have the answer for all Black people, right? I can't speak for all Black people, but what I can tell you is that there are a few things. I'm just going to keep it real. This might offend a lot of people listening. And I'm honestly to the point that I don't care. I'm not going to call anybody by name, but people are going to know who I'm talking about. I feel like there's a lot of divisiveness in Nashville organizing. And even when it comes to rapid response, where we should have been able to put out the back call in every pastor, every organization, everybody that cares about any issue, because like I said, democracy is the foundation that every issue that we care about is built on. I don't care if it's policing. I don't care if it's a budget issue. I don't care if it's the police oversight board. I don't care if it's about education, about childcare, whatever your issue is. If our democracy is fragile, we cannot go to the people in power and say, take money out of the police budget, because why would they listen to us? We have no power to remove them from their position. If we don't have a strong democracy, we can't abolish no police, not be a voting. If we don't have a strong democracy, we can't save oversight board. If we don't have a strong democracy, we can't make sure people who have been impacted by the system have their rights restored, or that children have free food when they through the free lunch program. Our entire existence in America and Black people has been governed by this experimental notion of democracy, right? And the reason why our ancestors fought so hard for it was because they realized that their freedoms and their rights were tied to their ability to have a say-so in the system via controlling who governed the system. So I'm not going to go into a history lesson, but I do think that in Nashville, it's a lot of uppity Negroes. It's a lot of uppity Negroes, and it's a lot of oppression Olympics. You got a lot of people who are out here fighting about who has it the worst in the Black community. We all got it bad. And at the end of the day, I don't care how you feel about me, how you feel about the Equity Alliance, how you feel about Justin Jones, how you feel about what he did. As a Black person who says that you stand for liberation, if you are not supporting this fight, you are using tools of the oppressor, which is division. And that's all I'm going to say. So when this happened, the people who were willing to get on the front lines were thrusted into planning. So you had me, my whole 4 people staff, because we've been understaffed for the last year. You had Odessa, you had a bunch of Vanderbilt students, and that was it. We were on the front lines from day one since the first protest took off. Me, Odessa, our friends, our brown allies from Turk, we have all been on the front lines from the orange protest on down planning. In fact, you guys see it on the internet. That was my daughter's bullhorn that Justin Jones used. So we were that deep on the front lines. There has not been one Black man besides Josh Mundy, Gerald Anoha, and Quan Clark that has reached out to me in LT. Sorry about the LT. In LT that has reached out to me and said, "We got resources. What do you need? Are you okay?" Yet we talk about liberation and building the Black family. We talk about how we need to push for these things in the city. Everybody got an answer for what we need to do, what's best for everybody. But when it comes time for everybody to put their ego aside, stand up for something that's bigger than themselves, everybody wants to point the finger and bring up stuff that happened 15 years ago, knowing good and well that the pressure that Justin Jones is under right now is something that most of us wouldn't even fathom doing. Most people aren't even willing to risk their livelihoods. And we saw that when they came after Rashida and Gideon's army, if we want to be real. A lot of people who were there in the gym shooting with Rashida, when the points started getting put up and they realized the points went in their favor, backed on out. And that I have, as a Black woman, I have a problem with that. Because in Nashville, young Black people, especially Black women, continue to be the most unprotected and the most disrespected people. And it just got to stop. And at the end of the day, if we don't have a call in, this Black people making moves. So we can talk about Black people issues. If we don't have a opportunity for us to put this aside and like come together, our voices are never going to be heard. Because they're going to go cherry pick one or two of us and bring us in the room to talk, and everybody else so mad and so angry and so divisive and so self-righteous and so all these things that we can't even come together around something as serious as 6 people losing their lives. I don't give a damn if they was Black, white, green, or purple. I represent humanity. If I see a person laying on the side of the road hurt, I'm not going to say, "Are you Black? Do you care about police violence?" I'm not going to ask them that. I'm going to ask them if they hurting and if they need help. And if you can't look in the mirror and do that, you don't have no place in this movement. Because you're not here to build a movement. You're here to build a cult. You're here to be around people who only agree with you. And that is a problem.
All right now. Tequila came through and I love it. And we have to be real. We have to have these real conversations and stop trying to be politically correct and trying to say the right things and just call out people for what it is. And so I appreciate you for doing just that. It's time for us to come together, period, and put the egos aside. We cannot come together. We don't have no power when we're divided. Nothing. We can't do nothing. We can't accomplish anything. So we need to figure out what the moves are. Who do we need? What organizations, Black-led organizations, need to be coming to the table? What part can they play? What's the next move? Go ahead, Odessa. I think you had something you want to add.
Yeah, I don't know how much time we have, but as far as wanting to give some like actual steps.
Go ahead. We got time.
So like of course, ditto Tequila just, she pretty much laid it out there. She don't give a damn right now. So she on one. But with that said, to give you some actual steps that are happening right now, we can't just look at this and say, okay, everything is done. Voting is an issue. The Equity Alliance, this is how they made their name since 2016, has been trying to push the urgency of Black people voting. All right. The issue that we have now is like building that leverage across the state. Okay. So one of the things I've been telling people is that like in small town Tennessee is where we got to get them voting back in their interest, because getting them to vote in their interest helps us, because what's happening is the state is repealing anything that is happening here in Nashville and in Memphis. All right. When it comes to economic power and leverage and how we move that, now we're talking about looking locally. This is when we need Black people making moves to like really, hone in. I talked to Magruder, Jeff Magruder.
Citizens Bank.
Yeah, Citizens Bank the other day. It's been like we need to be like banking with them. They need to grow assets. That gives us power like other communities have, all right, to be able to make some of these moves, because at the end of the day, it all comes down to money,
Super true. And you can go right on over to Jefferson Street and open you an account and at least move some of your money over there. I just opened my account, work with Candace over there. She's an amazing banker. Go open you a checking or savings account. The money you got sitting somewhere else, you can be move $1,000 over to Citizens Bank, that gives them money to lend out to the organizations and the businesses in our community.
Well, just get your finances straight. We ask, what can we do as a community, right? First and foremost, before we get like protest or reactionary to something that has happened, to be solution oriented to where we can prevent these things from happening in our communities or happening to us or having our voices silent, is when we can build sustainable communities, when we have assets in the bank that other people want to leverage and we can use that, right? So you getting your finances together, getting out of debt, all right, and being able to grow wealth in some type of way is the most impactful thing, especially I think this community can do. And it can't be for self. It's got to be thinking intentional about, how am I growing? How is me helping myself going to help us make the community better?
So I'm sorry, yeah. I know I had to get that out because it was on
my chest. I love it.
It's been weighing on me heavy, man, because I feel like when I do a lot of organizing in the South, and the one thing that I've consistently seen is where there are a lot of HBCUs and a lot of Black folks getting degrees and buying houses, i.e. like Nashville, there tends to be this talented 10 mentality of, let me separate from everybody else. And then in the crust of that, there is the organizing entities that exist in these cities tend to have this, who's the blackest, who's the most correctest, who's the most radicalist mentality. And what it does is it creates this atmosphere where Black people feel like they don't belong at a protest because they don't, you might be looking at the Equity Alliance and saying they ain't Black, they ain't radical enough, they talk about voting too much, we want to talk about freeing people, we want to talk about this or that. But what the people on the outside see is that I'm not about to go shoot it up with the police. That's not me. I want to go work my good job in corporate America, and I want to put my money and my influence behind people who respect my position as well. And so people on the outside see direct action, and they immediately feel like it's something that they shouldn't be a part of. And if you click this link on live right now and ask 50 Black people where they stand, most of us are right in the middle. And I say that to say there's nothing wrong with being our way over here or our way over here. I think we need everybody. But what I think we need to do more of is recognize that if Odessa is talking to all her people, the athletes, and that's her people, and she's talking to them, and I'm talking to all the moms, and you're talking to all the business people, you might have a different way of talking to your people than I have of talking to my people versus Odessa. That doesn't make it wrong. That makes it relatable. And then, but when an attack like what's happening now happens, I know Danielle gonna bring out the businesses, Odessa gonna bring out the athletes, I'm gonna bring the moms, and you got people from different lanes just punching at you know what I mean? We all punching, we jumping them. Like we gotta have more of we gotta jump them. The system can't be fought by one person. We need people hitting it in every way. Somebody hitting the leg, the head, the arm, and we have to trust and give each other grace to grow. Because where I think about politics now wasn't where I thought about politics last year, the year before that. Like, being in this work is a process, and every year I figure out a different step. Every year I peel back a different layer on the onion. And when I've organized with white people, I realize that there tends to be grace for that. They start their kids off young, politicizing them, getting them to understand this how you gonna get this money. Because at the end of the day, 90% of our millionaires are made from government contracting. Come on, somebody. That's where the money at, if you ain't know that.
So, I'm telling the folks.
They know that, and they start training their kids early on doing the things that I'm doing now. Most of the people that I work with that are white are younger than me. So they're training them early to go ahead and build their political capital up so that when they get to my age and your age, they have enough political capital to go down to the mayor's office, to the city council, to the commissioners and say, I want this contract, and I'm going to use my political capital and my community and social capital to make sure this Titan Stadium or whatever deal gets passed so that I could be the person that screw all the doorknobs on for $50 million. And we're not playing that game because they're playing the system as a game. We're playing a game with each other, fighting over who's the most right to govern or to control or to fight the system. And I give grace to everybody, including myself, because I'm wrong a lot of times and I am not above reproach. And I welcome that. But I realize that we've been conditioned to hate ourselves. We've been conditioned to see each other as competition. So when it comes to things like politics, instead of us looking at one another as how can we set the deck for each other, we're looking at each other as I got to use my power to keep this person from not getting too far ahead because there's only room for one of us. And it's
And
the
that's,
most
I
prevalent
feel
in
like I've
Nashville.
never seen that more than in Nashville.
Same. I'm
It's
from
something that I
Chattanooga,
have
and
conversations
never.
about all the time, is how they literally playing us against each other. And we
It is
feeding right into it. And we fighting for this one contract. We fighting for this one opportunity. We fighting to be on this one panel. You know, it feels like they pick a few of us and they give us a little resources, push us ahead, and and then next year they're gonna pick another one and add to the group. And now but we're still vying for these little scraps of what they're giving us versus coming together and figure out how do we go get more and demand that we all get more together. Go ahead, Odessa.
I fed into that for a little bit. When I first, most people don't know, I was working in the community centers, and I got pulled into this through my union and labor organizing, right? Because I know Black people work. You know, it's one thing, like, we work. You know, and it took people like Tequila and Charlene and some other people to be like, we need everyone. Because I was like, fuck the business community for a good minute, right? Because every time I'm going to try to get wages raised, you know, they would always cherry pick one or two well-known Black business owners from the chamber side to come speak against, you know, wages, you know. And it took me, like, her pushing me to build relationships, you know, people like Josh Monday and all these other individuals, to understand, like, they're up against pressure too, right? And she was exactly right with what she said. Like, but what we need is when shit like this happens, you bring the business community, you know, I'm gonna bring the athletes, she gonna bring all the moms together, because we have a baseline at the end of the day that we all are riding for. And that's what they
Exactly.
literally tried to test at the State House. They expelled these two Black men to try to say that, you know, the South is going to rise again. It's going to rise again, but it's going to smell like shea butter. And we need everybody and their mama to show up when we put these things together like this. She's
We
absolutely
do.
right. You
So
know,
I think the call is really to the organizations more than it is to the individuals at this point. Like, how do
I think we need a call. I think we need and I've been praying about this for probably about a month. It's crazy that this happened during this time because I mean, it's no secret that Justin has always been a friend of mine, because the reality is I've always saw the it factor in him when it comes to politics. A person who can speak across the aisle, not Republican, Democrat, but to white people, to Black people, and someone who's willing to sacrifice in a bold way. And I've always admired that about him. And when I see things that I admire about people, I cannot like you. I cannot agree with you. But if you have something that I admire, I will invest in you. I will invest my time and energy into you, because I try to give off what I think that I feel like I needed. One, when I was a young girl, but also when I started this work. So I think we need a few things. I mean, voting, yes, we can get to that. But before we even can talk about shifting structures, I think we need healing. And I think we need a safe space to have conversations. And so, yes, I think we need to call on the organizational leaders, but I think we need to call on our elders too. Because we are, as millennials, I can honestly say we're hurting. We have gone through a traumatic lifeline. I mean, from 9/11, we graduated high school, thought we was going to go to college and get good jobs, got hit with a recession, went to grad school, thought that was going to set us up, got hit with excessive student loan debt, left from that, had kids in the middle of a pandemic. You know what I'm saying? Prison population through the roof. Ain't no men out here. I mean, we got so many things that we're battling, and we don't have people to guide us. We don't have mentors who've experienced some of what we're experiencing, who are reaching out. Not just, I mean, I have a mentor, I'm sure you all do too, and we have people who individually reach out to us, but we need collective mentorship.
But how do we bridge the gap? Because I feel like there are organizations that exist that should play that role in our communities, that have these very elder populations of people who are involved and are speaking for Black people, when they really need to be providing the guidance to the younger generation, and helping us to become the leaders that we need in our community. So how do we bridge the gap between this very old school way of doing things and turn those people into the folks that are building the leaders of tomorrow?
I'll say what I think, and then I'm interested to hear what y'all think. But I read this in a book one time, and it was like, you need young people because you need consistent, new, fresh, generated ideas, and then you need older people so that they can slow it down a little bit to maintain a steady pace, so that things don't get too far off the rails. And so I think what we have to do is, we can't try to bring everybody together because everybody's just not gonna agree, and it's gonna be too big, too loud, too much of everything. But I think we need to start a snowball. We need to start with 2 or 3 people. It's 3 Black women on this call today. I'm pretty sure we could put a call out and ask for 3 Black women over 60 to sit down and talk with us. And then from there, we bring 2 more and 3 more, and we grow it until we get to a place where everybody feels safe and comfortable enough to put out what it is that they need. Because I don't know about you, Danielle. I don't know about you, Odessa, but people used to tell me all the time, like, oh, who are all these white people around the Equity Alliance? And the reality is, we have a lot of Black supporters. We have more Black supporters than most Black organizations, if you want to be honest. But we do have a lot of white supporters, and it's not because white people built it or white people are surrounding it. It's because white people pour into me more than my own people. And I'm going to be real with you. When I put out a call and say I need something, I get a lot of white people. And I get a lot of Black men. A lot of people say Black men don't support. I don't agree with that because, like I said, it's been times this week where I have felt defeated, where I've been tired, where I've been hungry, where I've been sleepy. I'm a single mom. I ain't got no man up in here with no pistol protecting me. I got the pistol. But there are times when I want to be vulnerable, when I want to be soft, when I want to be talked to. And it's Black men that are, I'm not even having to call them. They're calling me, asking me what I need. So I think that we got to start really this is a challenge to myself too. I think we as leaders have to start really showing the holisticness of what it takes to be in these positions, what it takes to be in a leadership role. And a lot of that is because I think a lot of people want to be number one, and they miss the mark on their calling, which is being a dope ass number 3 or number 2. So I think that what happens is we show the good side of it, and it looks like, oh, I could do that, but we don't show how hard it is when you're staying up to 4 or 5 in the morning, when you're on this is my 6th call interview today. You know, like, we're not showing those things. So we need to, as leaders, that's the call for us. But I think our call to really fix this and bridge this gap is we just need to sit down with our elders and say, we're hurt. We know y'all was hurt, but we hurt right now, and we don't know what to do. And we need y'all's guidance. We don't need y'all to speak for us. We don't need y'all to go talk to Bill Lee for us. We don't want y'all thinking y'all gonna come in and politically take advantage of us, because we are here to call y'all in, to tell y'all we feel like we need y'all support. But if you try to betray us, we will call you out.
I'm with it. Go ahead, Odessa.
I think it's just, I'll give context to what Tequila is saying too. I think you have to, the healing is important, right? So do your self healing, right? Because a lot of the issues that we do discuss as a community here, as a Black community in Nashville, is skin deep. It's just surface bullshit. It's not the real conversations that we need to be having. You know, like when you were saying, so we need orgs. No, it's not just orgs. Like, Danielle, if you know the pressing issues of what's happening in Nashville, then you can delineate if that's like, we need institutional help, or if it's like, no, I need to be speaking up and telling my friends and educating them about this, right? And I think that is the crux of the issue that we have. What Tequila is talking about, when we need our elders to come in, we need our elders to come in because it's going to be an intergenerational thing across Black people for us to decide how we are going to move and build together. You get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And that's what we need them, like, we need them to be with us for. But when it comes to like us fixing our communities, it's us literally understanding what the issues are. And that's what the Equity Alliance and Stand Up Nashville and a lot of other organizations are here for, is to hopefully get you to understand the issues. And our issues, if we don't fix the economic undergirding of all of this, then a lot of the others, you're gonna always have criminal justice issues. You're gonna always have educational issues. Anytime people, good people, You want to talk about fixing school issues and you ain't talked about fixing the home? You can't fix the school issues. The two go hand in hand. If a person is struggling and working two jobs, they're gonna be chaotic at the house, and the kids is gonna pick their energy up in school. You get what I'm
Yeah,
saying? And
yeah,
so a lot of times the work that me and the Equity Alliance that we do, we're trying to fix the crux of the problem so the symptoms don't rise to gun violence. They don't rise to me working in the community center having to pass out backpacks every damn summer. Like if we gave parents more wages, they would buy who loves their child more than the parent? They'll buy their
right.
child own backpacks, right? They'll feed all those things. And so a lot of this is cyclical. And what we need as a community for us to do is also to trust each other. We really do. We gotta learn how to trust one another. I should be able. I think you hit me up, and I felt good that day you hit me up about y'all doing something about MBEs on the CBA. Yes, and we need people who are in the business community bidding for this, especially Black people.
We
You know,
got to.
we're sending
Yeah,
kids through. We're sending Kim. Sorry, last name. We're sending kids right now who couldn't go to college, who maybe they went on the college track. They've been working in crystals, Amazon warehouses. You know what I call the chitlin circuit of 2023. All right, and they're ready to get on like a skill pathways out of poverty. We are doing that work. What's disheartening is that on the other side, for us to create a space for that work, we are on the Metro Council's ass. We're on the state's ass to make sure that Black people get some of those contracts. So then we get the people skilled up, and we don't have Black business owners or entrepreneurs or contractors to send them to. And the two or three who come to me, they always shady. They undercutting people, in wages and stuff. So Danielle, like y'all are a big part of this as well, in us getting
yeah,
these little things together so that we can only, like, for instance, the Muslim community here, they don't need nobody else. They got each other, right? Job, school, food, whatever. They got each other. Jewish community don't need nobody else. At the end of the day, they got each other for all those needs. And we have to put our egos aside as the Black community, all our distrust, all our hate. I hate, I'm the gayest person here, and I'll be rooting harder for Black men than some other, like, I'd be like, damn, like, get this brother a break. But like all this man versus woman, all you straight
it's
women are,
all divisive and it's all
yeah,
intentional.
yeah,
And so we got to fight against that on a personal level first. Like you said, a lot
yeah.
of it starts in our
The
house.
healing.
If I can't get along with my husband or men that I'm dating or whatever, it we are I'm then conditioned all men ain't nothing. Now I'm not caring about Justin Jones and what he got going on. So a
It's
lot
funny
of it
that
starts in
happening.
our house.
And I'm hoping, like for instance, what is it called that Charlemagne the God has? Was it Black Mental Wealth? All the people out there got connections or whatever. I am 100. I think Tequila asked me one day, I forgot, we may have accidentally burned some herbs or something and crazy things happened. But in that day that we was talking, she she was like, what would you do in your first 100 days? And I was like, I'd give everybody a mental health break. Mental health is important, Black people. Even us thinking that we gotta overwork. I do it all the time. Tequila's on me about doing self-care. I am not good at it, and I gotta get better at it. How many things do you put on top of yourself? White people don't ever do that, right? They take a break when they need, they release shit when they need. They call things that are toxic that are toxic. We also got to check our religious institutions, if you ask me as well. Like a lot of toxic masculinity and oppression is built into the Black religious institutions. And it is our responsibility to like weed that shit out. We just got to. So, but
Y'all said so much today, and I'll tell
I
you, we
know
could
it's a
sit,
lot.
we could talk all day because we got a lot of issues,
And
And again, and I always feel it's not our fault, it was built this way, and so we got to figure out how do we start in our houses, we're getting our stuff together, like Odessa said, figuring out our finances, all of the things, love, trusting each other, trusting the people in our circle first. Like you don't trust the people who you calling your friend, and then we asking you to trust this organization. Like, no, we got to rebuild a lot of those things first. I feel like these organizations, as Tequila mentioned, like some people don't identify with certain organizations. And so,
Yeah.
but there's somebody out there doing some work that you can get involved with, that you should believe in and you can help with. So my call to action is find something to believe in and get involved in. Find the right place for you, and get involved. Let's start to step up and take back our communities and do the work and not just talk about it online. Let's show up and actually do the work and get involved. I think our organizations do need to step it up, and we need to stop trying to go for the fight against each other. We got organizations that can't even come together for the same thing. They believe in the same thing, but just have a different way of getting it done. And we're fighting against each other. And there needs to just be a ceasefire. Like, we need to just figure out we got to tackle.
Yeah, and I think we've done a good job, because I was a part of that as well. I'd be like, man, fuck them. I ain't messing with them because this, and this. But that goes into the purity politics that she was just talking about a minute ago. And like, some people ain't about that, and maturing past that. I think too that here, first of all, you said action steps. Black people out there listening, if you're thinking about this in social justice activism work, wanting to know what's going on, you can trust me. You can trust Tequila. You can trust now Senator Charlene Oliver. All right. I might be missing a couple of people in there, but you can definitely come. You can hit us up. All right. Follow me on IG, Facebook, and Twitter, and we will give you the facts of what's going on. All right. Follow Danielle when we start talking about, and trust her as far as what are the business moves that we're making here. Okay. The second thing, action step, get yourself whole. All right. Whatever it takes, whatever you need to do, whatever you need to release, I need to do it as well. Like, we got to get that, because those two things have got to happen. And then we can get to talking about how we build, because you got to be whole before we start go fighting the forces. All right. But when we ask y'all to come out and show up, you got to. Next Tuesday, we may give the Titans the biggest tax subsidy in the history of Tennessee. All right. And this ain't nothing about if you like football or not. This is about majority of our kids go to public schools. And if we give them this subsidy, you can hang up having all the resources that you want for your schools. All right. The majority of our people, we need workforce, affordable housing. All right. Not projects. Majority of us make under $100,000 a year. And you need to have housing built in a market setting that you can buy it. If we give that money to the stadium, you can hang it up. All right. So, like, you can trust us to try to give you the crucial points that we need you to weigh in on that have implications on the Black community in Nashville for the next 30 and 40 years.
And that's exactly what I feel like we need. I don't know why I kicked everybody out. There we go. That's exactly what I feel like we need. Again, a lot of times we don't know what the right answer is. I feel like, I was called to a meeting to talk about the stadium and to essentially bring Black folks to agree with this new. And I was like, I don't know enough about the issue to go and lead some other folks to say yes to it. I need to go ask the people who know something, and so it's okay to be like, I don't know enough about that to make a decision. Let me go find the right answer before I make a decision on that. And we have to trust that there are people who are in a position to lead us and give us the right decision. Like, you ain't got to worry about me supporting the stadium. If Odessa say that it ain't in our best interest, I'm going to trust that Odessa has done the research and it ain't in our best interest.
Right? And let me speak on that too, because this is where it gets complicated, right? If they're trying to offer you $450,000, it's in your best interest. My responsibility is to the 287,000 Nashvillians, though, Black Nashville. You get what I'm saying? And so, and it's not enough swell of us, critical mass of us who show up. So when they see 4 or 5, influential business people speaking, like, it's in their best interest. It's not in the best interest for everyone, And so that is essentially what's happening with this stadium. Black America utilizes public resources. Everyone utilizes them, but where they fill in critical roles in society for us. Schooling, right? Infrastructure, all those things. We don't build private roads and all those type of things. So what happens is what Tequila was talking about earlier. All right, white people ain't brilliant. They're not innovative. what the public tax dollars, they said, yo, we have created laws to make everybody give a part of their money to this pool. And it's just sitting there. How do we get our hands on this consistent pile of money that's sitting here? That's essentially public tax dollars, subsidies, resources, bonds, revenues. When you hear that, that is still your tax dollars, all right? And what they do is create very complicated ways to transfer things that should help everyone, all right, to their private use and needs. And we're trying to stop that, right? That's the reason why our schools are underfunded. That's why our streets, the communities we live in, the streets look the way that they do, and so forth, and on and on and on and on. So getting people highly educated and understanding the premise of taxes, the premise of government, right, procurement, and what all of these things, how they relate to each other, it will have a drastic positive impact on all Black communities, which then inherit cuts out some of these issues that we have individually. My bad, Tequila.
No, I was just gonna say, and then that's where the Equity Alliance comes in, is because our whole purpose is to like make sure people understand who is making those decisions and the influence that they can have over them. So you know that there's a group of people making decisions on your money, right? On how your money's spent. The state, I don't know if it passed or not yet because I've been busy, but the state was just putting $100 and something million in the budget for Black-owned businesses. I don't know who getting that money, but I can tell you it's not going to be any Black-led organization unless you got a white man negotiating for you. But they're not going to call me. They're not going to call Odessa. However, if you are registered to vote and you actually show up and vote, and I don't want to hear people saying, oh, we've been voting. Tennessee is 51 in the nation for voter turnout. 51. I'm going to start pulling up Van every time I see somebody say that. Look them up and release their voter records because it's public record. So the next one of y'all any one of y'all run up on this post, talking about you vote, put your real name and your address in my inbox because I'm going to run back up on you with your voting record and tell you don't vote and you ain't voted since Obama.
It's real too. We got evidence of it. Like if y'all don't know, I ran for U.S. Congress. They gerrymandered Nashville from 1 congressional seat to 3. I ended up with all of North Nashville, parts of South Nashville that are super Black, all right, and East Nashville in my district. I'm talking about like going out toward Westchester, 37207, all right, and I lost. You know, had we just had higher voter turnout in Nashville alone, I'd be in Congress right now fighting from the highest hill that we have for our people. You know,
we gotta show up. We gotta show up, and we got important stuff going on in Nashville this year, and so we gotta show up. We gotta vote. I'm like, we were supposed to be on here 20 minutes. It's been almost an hour, but it's been such great conversation. And I really want to have you all back. I really want us to continue these conversations, at least on a monthly basis. I want us to be able to come together and know what's important to us right now. What do our eyes need to be on? Where do we need to be showing up? So we gonna make that happen, because a lot of times we just out of the loop. You know, we depend on social media algorithms, and they not giving us what we need to see. We ain't on the email list. We don't know what's going on. You know, join the Equity Alliance email list. They keep us up to date.
Yes.
Like I get an email pretty much every day, and I think some days multiple times from the Equity Alliance letting me know what's going on. So go to the equityalliance.org. Make sure you get signed up for the email list. As things progress over this next few weeks, because I'm sure there's going to be some action that needs to take place over the next couple of weeks. Can you all please keep us abreast of what's going on, where we need to show up, what we need to be doing to support both Equity Alliance, Stand Up Nashville, whatever other organization is supporting the Black community, as well as Justin Jones and Justin Pearson?
I definitely want to, like, we work hand in hand with the Equity Alliance, and people, like, you got to know your lanes. I work with an organization that's trying to be the watchdog counter for public policy and where our public resources are going. I'm a Black gay woman is at the head of that, right? But we're thinking about all of it. So I always on the Equity Alliance because they 100% be tapped in, and they're better doing community outreach. Next Tuesday, y'all, 4/18, we need y'all to show up at the council. All right. Danielle, if it's okay, because I know you got to get out, I'll send you all the information. We're going to
Send me all
start.
the information.
We're going to be marching starting at the Titan Stadium. All right. Talking about these corporations that don't pay nothing. And then we're going to go all the way over here to council and make sure that they know that we mean business about not giving them $4 billion essentially to build a new damn stadium when we need all these other things. And we need Black people to show up. We need Black people to show up.
Give me the information and I'm gonna be there.
Your husband walking in the back like, girl, get off this phone. I only have one more thing, Danielle, and that's that this Thursday we'll be at the Capitol rallying for Justin Pearson to make sure that the state reappoints him. So we'll start tomorrow. We'll start at 9 a.m. tomorrow inside of the Capitol, and then we'll have a rally for him in the plaza across the street from the state capitol, and that'll start at 11 o'clock a.m. So if you're not able to come at 9 because you got to drop your kids off at 11 o'clock, you can come on your lunch break. We're gonna have food out there and everything, so you can come and you can join in
tomorrow. Please, at the Capitol.
Yeah, please show up there. I'm in Houston right now. Like, I appreciate having people like Tequila and other good organizers on the ground, because it was like I can step back. I don't need to be
and know what's happening.
Yeah, I'm here trying to figure out better practices that we can implement in Nashville about affordable housing, because it's a fucking crisis, right?
It is.
And so, but Tequila and them are taking care of the home front. If you got your girl, step up for me. Be there at 9 a.m. If you can't, be there at 11, because that's important. So that gives me more time to be here to learn how we can better put some pressure on those to be, so we can get more affordable and workforce housing. Because I know y'all want to live in the urban, y'all don't want to be living 30 miles outside.
No, from where you work and where you play and where your family was, it's crazy. It's ridiculous. All right, we know we got our marching orders tomorrow, 9 a.m. or 11 a.m. or next Tuesday at Metro Council. Please let me know if you missed any details and you need them, and I'll also make sure that they get posted in Black People Making Moves. Y'all, thank y'all so much for all of your time today, showing up, helping us to have this conversation. And we gonna keep the conversation going. I appreciate you all and all the work you're doing. And we had a bunch of folks tuned in. So thank y'all for tuning in and dropping your thoughts in the comments. We appreciate you all.